Okay, so here is where I start moving into some of my own experiences, and I don't claim to be an expert. I'm just sharing this in case it's interesting to other people. So, in previous episodes, I've talked about techniques that people have put together for writing, for telling a story, and now I'm just trying to turn that into writing a script. So, the first thing I do is work out, um, and it's really at the arc sort of level. So, I'm doing a series. I've just decided to do like 5-minute episodes. It's because of what I'm going to be able to finish. So I'm not doing long episodes. I'm not doing movies. I'm creating lots of short little episodes, and um, I want to build up the overall story. And so an arc is where you have a number of episodes, and the episodes together tell a longer story. And so I've got an arc where two of my characters form a friendship. And it takes a few episodes to get them to actually build up that friendship, but that's the purpose of those series of things. And so what I tend to do is at the arc level, I write down key events that happen, not everything, but just key ones, because I want to do a whole series of arcs. And when I start laying them together, I've got to make sure that, oh, well, if these two people are going to have a fight, well, I've got to make sure they're friends first. And, oh, hang on, well, this one wants to break up with his girlfriend. Well, that means they've got to get together beforehand. And so you've got to get the sequence of events where the characters are evolving during it all. And so I use a fairly high level description of each arc with key points that happen in that arc, just so I can work out, keep all the dependencies in order as I'm developing the story together. Then, if you look at some of the previous episodes I did, I talked about heroic journey, and so there's a number of things that I'll summarize for an arc, just to force myself through. Because the heroic journey has got a number of stages in it, and I try and map out what the stages are in terms of my sort of arc. And so an arc goes through this heroic journey of and all the stages. And you look back at my other episodes if you want to hear more about heroic journey. So I try and map that out for an overall arc, and map in my mind, start thinking about what episodes I need to get through these different stages of the journey. From there, I move on to writing episode summaries, and I work out there's a number of. This is where I get more into the poetics, which I talked about before, and Freytag's pyramid, trying to identify key points and like what's the main actions that are going to go, what reversals or pity is going to occur during it, what's the conflict that's going to occur that gives causes the rising action. And so there's particular things that are identified from the poetics and Freytag's pyramid, and I'll go out and I'll write down a summary of what I want happening in each episode to then to complete that overall arc of a story, and keep iterating and sort of drilling down deeper and deeper. Then I'll have a go, start putting together a first draft, and it's just really bullet points. I'll work out the location, some action is happening. I frequently will have a couple of locations for one episode, and talk about, okay, how do you do the establishing shot, and just write down the script and what the main things are. Not particularly structured, but it's just some of the previous points about what is good for a story structure. I'm not going to lay it all out, and so you need to think about it a little bit and just iterate. And so it's trying to get that iteration to be really quick, and then from there I turn it into a more structured form, which has got shot numbers and I usually increment by 10, so I can insert other numbers in between. So like 15, as I sort of think, oh, I want to get that in later. And I'll start thinking about how long each shot should be, write out the dialogue, write out the directions, and just basically start to get more structured about how to put a episode together. Once I've completed a script for an episode, I then just quickly go through and just add up and try and work out, okay, for Freytag's pyramid, where was the beginning, where was the trigger, where was the rising, and so forth, and just check the timings, because just to make sure that like the beginning hasn't gone 4 times longer than it should have been. You don't have to be precise, and you don't even have to follow it if you don't like the structure, but it's just a useful way to go back and sort of self-evaluate, like was the beginning was 50% of the whole episode. Well, it's probably going to be boring to watch. And if there was no beginning and he just got straight into a crisis, well, maybe the audience is getting lost because they don't have the context they need to grasp the story properly. That's why they've done these sorts of structures, is so people can understand the story better. And so that's how I'm putting together scripts. I'm still very early on in the stage. I'm still learning. But I just wanted to share that. I'm actually going to be sharing a number of episodes on how I then start to build up and create my recordings using Unity. And so it's going to get into a lot more technical issues. I just want to get some of these basics and terminology out of the way first so I can refer back to them. I hope you found it interesting.